New Yorkers don't get scammed. Tourists lose hundreds every single day. The difference isn't street smarts, it's knowing the 9 specific traps set up exclusively in locations you're definitely visiting. One involves a monk, another involves your phone. And the worst one? It starts with a smile. You just landed at JFK. You're tired, your bags are heavy, and some friendly guy in a polo shirt approaches you saying, "Taxi, good price, no waiting." Sounds helpful, right? It's a trap. These unlicensed drivers hang around all 3 major airports, JFK, LaGuardia, and Newark, hunting for exhausted tourists who don't know any better. They'll charge you $100 to $200 for a ride that should cost $30 to $70. That's not a tip. That's robbery with a smile. Here's how they get you. They claim the yellow cab line is an hour long. They tell you yellow taxis don't go to your neighborhood. Complete nonsense. I fell for this my first time visiting the city back in 2014. Paid $140 to get to Midtown. My friend who took a yellow cab, $70 flat. Same destination. I bought that guy's dinner out of pure embarrassment. The official flat rate from JFK to Manhattan is exactly $70. That includes tolls and tip. It's set by the city. Non-negotiable. If anyone quotes you higher, they're not a taxi driver. They're a scammer with a car. And here's what really matters. These unmarked vehicles carry 0 commercial insurance. If you get into an accident, you're completely unprotected. No coverage, no recourse, nothing. So what should you actually do? Follow the signs to ground transportation. Get in line at the official taxi stand. Yes, there might be a short wait. That wait costs you nothing. The scammer costs you $70 extra minimum. Or use Uber and Lyft. The price is locked in before you get in the car. No surprises. The air train connects to the subway too if you're feeling adventurous and your luggage cooperates. Bottom line, anyone approaching you inside the terminal offering rides is not your friend. But fake drivers aren't the only ones waiting for tourists at these airports. Now here's something that can drain your bank account without anyone touching your wallet. ATM skimmers. These little devices are everywhere tourists go. Times Square, Penn Station, Grand Central, outside hotels. Basically anywhere you need quick cash. So what's a skimmer? It's a thin plastic overlay that criminals stick right over the real card slot. You slide your card in, thinking everything's normal. Meanwhile, the fake reader captures every bit of data from your magnetic stripe. And that hidden camera, the size of a pinhole, it's recording your PIN from the brochure holder above you. I learned this the hard way in 2019. Used an ATM in a bodega near Port Authority. 3 days later, someone in New Jersey bought $800 worth of electronics with my debit card. Fun times. The sneaky part is these devices look almost identical to the real machine. Almost. Here's what gives them away. The card slot feels loose when you wiggle it. The plastic might be a slightly different shade, or the whole keypad area seems raised compared to the screen. Standalone ATMs are the worst offenders. Those machines crammed into the corner of convenience stores and tourist shops, they get checked maybe once a month. Maybe. Bank-owned ATMs inside actual bank branches get inspected daily. Big difference. Your best defense is stupidly simple. Walk inside a bank during business hours. Use their ATM, the security cameras, the tellers, the regular maintenance. It all adds up to protection. And always cover the keypad with your other hand when typing your PIN. Even if you don't see a camera, assume there is one. Criminals have hidden them in fake ceiling panels, behind mirrors, inside what looks like advertising displays. They're creative. I'll give them that. But losing your card info to a skimmer is nothing compared to losing your cash in plain sight. Which brings us to a scam that's been running since the 1800s. Here's the thing about 3-Card Monte. It's not gambling, it's theater. Those guys shuffling cards on cardboard boxes near Penn Station, they're not running a game. They're running a heist with an audience. The setup looks simple. 3 cards, 1 queen, find her, and double your money. Except you won't. Ever. The dealer uses sleight of hand that would make David Copperfield jealous. The moment you point to your choice, the queen has already moved. Your eyes literally cannot track it because the switch happens faster than human perception allows. But here's where it gets interesting. See that guy who just won $50 and is celebrating like he hit the lottery? He's part of the crew. Those 3 people watching and cheering. Also, crew. The woman who looks like a confused tourist and decides to try her luck? Crew. Everyone winning is a plant. You're watching a scripted performance where the only genuine participant is about to lose their money. And the scam runs deeper than the cards. While you're focused on finding the queen, pickpockets are scanning the crowd. Your wallet's in your back pocket? They noticed. Your phone's half out of your bag? They noticed that too. The whole operation works together like a well-oiled machine. The card game is just the distraction. This hustle has been running in New York since the 1800s. Same technique, same setup, same results. Why change something that still catches tourists every single day? My advice? If you see a crowd gathered around a cardboard box anywhere near a transit hub, assume every single person there is working together. Walk away, don't even slow down to watch. I learned this the hard way in my 20s. Didn't lose money to the cards, but my phone vanished like magic. Expensive lesson. Now, speaking of transportation hubs and people trying to separate you from your cash, here's a fun fact. Yellow cabs in New York are legally required to have working meters. Every single one. No exceptions. So when a driver tells you the meter's broken, he's lying. This scam works because tourists don't know the rules. You hop in, the driver sighs, gives you some story about how the meter just stopped working this morning. Then he quotes you a fair flat rate. $90 to Midtown. Maybe $100. The real fare? Probably $30. I actually watched this happen to a family from Ohio last summer. They paid $85 for a ride that my app showed was worth $28. The dad looked so proud of himself for negotiating down from $100. Made my heart hurt a little. Now here's what most people don't realize. The flat rate from JFK to Manhattan is $70. That's fixed, locked in, includes tolls and a reasonable tip. This number exists specifically so tourists can't get ripped off. Yet they still do. Why? Because the scammers intercept you before you learn the rules. They're wearing polo shirts. They seem helpful. They grab your bags like they're doing you a favor. But wait, it gets worse. These unlicensed cabs don't carry commercial insurance. So if there's an accident, you're a passenger in an uninsured vehicle. Good luck with that hospital bill. The fix is embarrassingly simple. Only use the official taxi stand. Look for the yellow paint, the signs, the line of actual licensed cabs, or use Uber or Lyft, or the Curb app, which hails real yellow taxis and shows you the fare up front. Basically, any option where you're not trusting a stranger who approached you in baggage claim. Speaking of trusting strangers with your money, let's talk about those designer bags you'll find in Chinatown. Because that $40 Gucci purse might cost you way more than $40. Those $40 Gucci bags in Chinatown? They're not just terrible quality. Buying them is actually a federal crime that can slap you with fines up to $10,000. Yeah, $10,000. Most tourists have no idea. They think they're being clever, snagging a deal. But customs agents at the airport, they know exactly what that bag is, and they can confiscate it, fine you, or both. So you lose the money and the knockoff. The vendors always have a story too. It fell off a truck from the real warehouse. Sure it did, buddy, and I'm the mayor of New York. Here's what actually happened. That bag was made in an unregulated factory overseas for about $3. The leather contains chemicals that would make a hazmat team nervous. We're talking lead levels that aren't just unregulated, they're genuinely dangerous. You're paying $40 to carry a health hazard, but the money trail gets darker. The knockoff industry isn't just some harmless hustle. These operations fund organized crime networks. Your great deal might be supporting things way worse than fake handbags. I'm not trying to be dramatic here. This is well-documented stuff. And the quality? My grandmother's plastic tablecloth has more structural integrity. The stitching falls apart in weeks. The handles snap. The zippers jam. You end up with something that looks like a melted candle by month 2. If somebody's selling a Prada bag for $50 on Canal Street, ask yourself one question. Why would real luxury goods be sold from a folding table next to a guy hawking phone cases? The math never makes sense because it's not supposed to. They're counting on tourists who want the flex without the price tag. Here's the real kicker, though. You might save a few $100s on a fake bag only to lose way more when you sit down to eat. Speaking of losing money at dinner, let me tell you about the fastest way to turn a $100 bill into a mediocre hamburger. Times Square restaurants have figured out something genius. Tourists are hungry, they're tired, and they don't want to walk far. So why not charge $28 for a burger that costs $12 3 blocks away? Supply and demand, baby. Except the demand is desperation and the supply is disappointment. But the burger isn't even the sneaky part. Some of these places add an automatic service charge of 20% right on your bill. Sounds like a tip, right? It's not. It's a fee that goes to the restaurant. So when you add another 20% for your server, like a good person, you've just tipped 40% on a mediocre meal. My grandfather would call that getting fleeced. He'd be right. Here's a dead giveaway. If the menu outside has photos of the food, run. I'm serious. Quality restaurants in New York don't need to show you pictures of their pasta. That's like a surgeon showing you photos of successful surgeries before your appointment. Confidence doesn't need proof. And whatever you do, never order the market price fish special. Legally, they don't have to tell you what market price means until the bill arrives. I've seen tourists get hit with $75 fish that tasted like it came from a can. That's not dinner, that's robbery with a lemon wedge. The fix is almost stupidly simple. Walk 2 avenues east or west of Times Square. That's it. Prices drop by about 40% for food that's actually better. The locals aren't eating at the Olive Garden in Times Square that charges $15 more than the same Olive Garden in New Jersey. Real New York food is hiding in plain sight. You just have to escape the tourist gravity. Speaking of things hiding in plain sight, scammers have gotten really creative with where you sleep. So you've dodged the street scams. Great. But what about the one waiting in your inbox before you even land? Scammers have gotten scary good at building fake hotel websites. We're talking pixel-perfect copies of Marriott, Hilton, you name it. They pay for Google ads, so their fake sites show up before the real ones. You click, you book, you hand over your credit card, they take your money and vanish. You show up in Manhattan with a confirmation email that means absolutely nothing. The trick? Check that URL like your vacation depends on it, because it does. Scam sites use sneaky misspellings. MarriottNYC.com instead of Marriott.com. One tiny hyphen, and suddenly you're funding some guy's operation instead of your hotel room. Airbnb has its own nightmare version. Fake listings use stolen photos from real apartments. Beautiful kitchen, exposed brick, amazing Manhattan views. All of it photographed from someone else's actual home. You pay, you fly in, you show up, nobody answers the door. The host? Gone. Your money? Also gone. Here's what the scammers all have in common. Prices that seem too good. A gorgeous midtown apartment for $80 a night? That's not a deal. That's bait. Manhattan hotel rooms under $150 in Midtown simply don't exist through legitimate channels. I learned this the hard way when my uncle almost booked a luxury suite that turned out to be someone's storage unit listing. The red flags are consistent. Hosts pushing you to pay through Venmo or wire transfer. Properties with only 2 or 3 suspiciously recent reviews. Anyone asking you to communicate outside the official app. Legitimate hosts never ask for payment off platform. Ever. If they do, that's not negotiation. That's theft with extra steps. And speaking of people pretending to be official, wait until you hear what's happening down at Battery Park with those Statue of Liberty ticket sellers. Battery Park is beautiful. It's also where some of the most convincing scammers in New York City operate. You'll spot them immediately. People wearing official-looking vests, carrying clipboards, stationed right near Castle Clinton. They'll wave you over with big smiles. Statue of Liberty tickets, last boat leaving soon. Here's what they're actually selling. Overpriced harbor cruises that drive past the statue. That's it. They don't stop. You don't get off. You just float by and take pictures from a boat. The kicker? You could get almost the same view on the Staten Island Ferry for free. $0. Completely complimentary. Now, the only legitimate way to actually set foot on Liberty Island is through Statue City Cruises. That's it. One company. Anyone else claiming to sell tickets is running a scam. And these folks are good at their jobs. Really good. They target families who look rushed, tourists checking their phones with confused expressions, people who didn't plan ahead and desperately want to make it work. But here's what seals the deal for most victims. Crown access. These scammers will promise you same-day tickets to climb inside the crown. That's physically impossible. Crown tickets sell out weeks in advance through official channels, sometimes months during peak season. Nobody wandering Battery Park with a clipboard has Secret Crown access. That's like saying you've got backstage passes to a concert that sold out in 1987. The $35 to $60 they charge could have bought you an actual legitimate ticket if you'd booked online beforehand. Instead, you get a boat ride that my grandfather would call the scenic route to disappointment. My advice if you show up unprepared, skip the scammers entirely. Hop on the Staten Island ferry, enjoy the views, save your money. Speaking of protecting your money, there's one more scam that targets something you use constantly without thinking: your phone. And it's sneakier than anything we've covered so far. Your phone just died. You're standing in Times Square, completely lost, and there's a free charging station right there. Perfect timing, right? Wrong. The FBI actually issued a warning about this. Public USB charging stations can install malware on your phone while it charges. They call it juice jacking, which sounds like a protein shake crime, but it's actually hackers stealing everything on your device. Your photos, your passwords, your banking app, all of it downloading to some stranger's laptop while you wait for your battery to hit 20%. But here's what most people don't know. The Wi-Fi is even worse. Those hotspots named NYC Free Tourist Wi-Fi or Times Square Guest aren't set up by the city. They're set up by some guy with a laptop and bad intentions sitting in a coffee shop nearby. The second you connect, he can see every website you visit, every password you type, every credit card number you enter. And the weird part is, sometimes the same helpful stranger who suggests the charging station or recommends connecting to free Wi-Fi is the same person running the whole operation. They're friendly. They're patient. They'll even watch your bag while you charge. How thoughtful. The solution costs about $25. Get a portable battery pack before your trip. Charge it at your hotel. Done. You never need public USB ports again. For Wi-Fi, use your phone's cellular data when you're doing anything sensitive. Checking your bank account on hotel Wi-Fi? Use a VPN. It encrypts everything, so even if the network is compromised, your data looks like gibberish to anyone trying to intercept it. One more thing. If you absolutely must use public Wi-Fi, never access your bank, email, or anything with a password. Save that for when you're back at your hotel. New York has enough ways to empty your wallet. Don't let invisible hackers add to the list. Stay alert, stay charged, and enjoy the city.